This is Adam Simbe with This Week in Perspective. Very recently, to be more specific, on the 26th of October, Tanzania received another new and actually an additional Boeing 787-58 Dreamliner, which will likely, like others, be leased to Air Tanzania, like other planes which have been leased to Air Tanzania Corporation, bringing the total of aircraft at ATC has to 7 new planes, which include 3 Bombardier Dash 8 Q400, 2 Airbus 220-300, and now 2 Boeing 787 Dreamliners. 3 more, it is recorded somewhere, Bombardier Q400 planes will be added to the fleet by June 2020. And I understand even another Boeing will be added, the 3rd. Hence, reaching an ATCL target of 14 planes on its fleet by 2022. Therefore, the new Air Tanzania, with the modern fleet, augurs well for an enhanced air transportation and tourism industry in the country, and particularly for the tourism, as I said, industry. To discuss transport and tourism, air transport and tourism industry today, as I said, in the light of the new additional Boeing plane, I'm joined by, on my right, Hussein Kamote, an economic analyst. Next is the Director General or Chief Executive or Managing Director of Air Tanzania Limited, Engineer Ladislaus Matindi. On my left is Saleh Pamba of ABC Travel Services. I just realized that he was former Permanent Secretary with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Tourism. Last but not least, another aviation expert of long service and experience is Abdul Qadir Mohammed, who is the chairman of Tourism Confederation of Tanzania, but also the Chief Operations Officer of Tanzania. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm glad you came. Let us give the topic is 55 minutes of our time to analyze issues so that you can educate more people about air transportation system or industry as well as tourism in the country. So welcome again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Engineer Matindi, what is the significance of the arrival of an additional Boeing 787 Dreamliner to Air Tanzania Corporation?
Thank you very much, Mzee Sembe, and I'm glad to be here again. The arrival of that aircraft to us is the implementation of what we thought that we can do within the 5 years of our program, or rather the 5-year business plan, which we planned before that. We'll have we'll have 2 big aircraft or long-range aircraft. We'll have a number of mid-range aircraft, and we'll have a number of small-range aircraft. So ideally, it's not something which has happened without a background. It's something which has happened with a background. Is implementation of our strategic 5-year strategic plan. So to Air Tanzania is implementation of the 5 years strategic plan.
Whose 5-year plan? Is it the government or Air Tanzania itself?
This is Air Tanzania strategic plan. It's not the government plan. But as you are aware that Air Tanzania is not owning aircraft. We have agreement with the government that they'll buy and lease to us aircraft. So they're implementing their leasing agreement between Air Tanzania and the government.
If you fail, they can take them away.
If we fail, they can take, yes, we don't have ownership of the aircraft. If we fail, then they can maybe look for another operator. We are just operators. So we can go to government or to somebody else, but the government as the owner of Air Tanzania has committed themselves that we'll make sure that we facilitate your program to make sure that you meet your objectives.
Are you going to pay the government for leasing the aircraft?
Not that we are going to pay. We pay.
You do pay?
We do pay. I think last time we talked of the 14 million USD. That has been realized from our agreement with the government that we'll pay for the lease of the aircraft which we need to implement our program.
Okay. So, Sally Pamba, can you respond to this? Do you think additional fleet to Air Tanzania has any significance?
It has. It has. I have to say it has a lot of significance in tourism and air transport. If you look at the size of our country, definitely you need, apart from the other transport infrastructure, like the road network and the railway system, still you need air transport. And particularly when it comes to tourism, air transport becomes very, very significant. And if you look at the history of the growth of tourism globally, you will find that in the 1950s, with the introduction of the wide-bodied aircrafts, that created a huge demand for international travel, because wide-bodied aircraft carried more passengers, and the economics of scale, that the fares became cheaper, and people and travelers became excited to travel all over the world. So there is a linkage between air transport and tourism. And tourism stimulates demand. It creates demand. And air transport, finally, is the consumer. It's very, very important. So the relationship is there, and the interlinkages is there between tourism and air transport.
Do you necessarily need a well-revamped airline, national airline like Air Tanzania, to promote tourism? But you have other international airlines,
exactly,
which fly into Tanzania.
Exactly. But of course, as you can see, that those airlines, they have their own strategies and their own national priorities. So if we want to bring tourists into our country, we need to use our own air transport facilities to bring in the tourism from the source markets. So I think it has been a very wise decision to revamp Air Tanzania.
So your conclusion is that the two go together?
Definitely.
And the two developed or enhanced or well-prepared airline, like Air Tanzania now, and tourism going hand in hand.
Absolutely.
They need each other.
Absolutely.
Okay. The economists come after we've listened to the other three. Right. So let's hear from Abdul Qadir Mohammed, the aviation expert, and for a long time he actually was around when the former Air Tanzania collapsed. Well, did it collapse or it was killed? I don't know. What do you think? What do you think of Air Tanzania today as compared to the good old days you were in Nairobi as an aviation expert?
You see, for me, I have a lot of interest in Air Tanzania, and perhaps my comments might be biased because I'm an aviation man. I want aviation to survive at any cost. So an additional aircraft or an addition to the fleet of Air Tanzania, it is very significant to me. First, as a Tanzanian, it makes me more proud to have an asset that is going to be an added advantage to the existence of Air Tanzania. You know, we had one Boeing, the Dreamliner.
Yes.
Now, if, for example, it is going for a longer route, which is meant for a longer route, one aeroplane, you will have, if you are planning for the crew, longer routes means longer duty days.
Yes.
Therefore, when it arrives there, you will need to put some crew on the other side
To bring them back.
to bring them back. And if it is one, it means the aircraft will go. Either it has to wait, but others are waiting to come back. You know, people who go needs to come back. Therefore, this is an advantage. I think it will make it easier for Engineer Martin, because crew scheduling now will be much, much easier. That is one significance. The other significance is for tourism. It is an added capacity. It will bring more tourists into the country, which is the aim of actually having this airline. And thirdly, to us as Tanzanian, it shows that Air Tanzania is committed, or the government is committed to do what it has always been saying, that they will bring this, and now we are seeing more airplane being added. It's a confidence, and it is confidence to other people. It is confidence to the tour operators like Saleh. Therefore, it is very, very, very significant. And also, if I remember correctly, there are certain countries, if you want to operate into their routes, they need a substitute in case one of that aeroplane is defective or it can't make it.
At the airport.
Yes, you have to have a substitute. Now, if you go there with one aeroplane,
Yes.
then you don't have a substitute. So now, the older Dreamliner now has a sister which can be a substitute, and therefore Air Tanzania will be able to meet some of these regulatory requirements of other foreign countries.
There's an international problem for airlines. In some countries, or some countries ban specific type of aircraft flying in the airspace because of emission of gas and whatever. So, do you think it's just as well we have got this new Dreamliner, and why Dreamliners? 787 Dreamliners are not Boeing, not Airbus, larger Airbus like A330 or 380?
No, this answer can be perhaps be answered by Martin, who knows the inside planning. But a Dreamliner today, it is the most state-of-art aeroplane. Yeah, it is everything. Have you had a chance to ride in one?
Not yet. I've not got the invitation to.
Yeah, I think.
He has launched new routes.
Yeah, he should. I think he should.
He has forgotten himself.
Next time when you call us, I think you'll be talking another language.
That's a good one.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Now, Hussein, it's not an easy job to acquire two Dreamliners in a spell of 2 years. Is it 2 years? Because the last one came last year.
Yeah, in July.
Which are hugely expensive equipment, very expensive. What does it? What you, as an economist, do you think it is? It makes sense to buy these two big aircraft for Tanzania, such a small and poor country, so-called poor country, because the big fellows describe us as a poor country.
Yeah, definitely. To me, it is very, very important. You know, in the air aviation, you need to be competitive, and you can't be competitive operating only one aircraft. So, the big fleet you have, that means you go to the economies of scale. You are reducing your operating cost, unit cost. So the additional Dreamliner, to me, in the economic sense, is going to increase the capacity to carry passengers. More passengers will be carried on. And therefore, you are going to many destinations. You know, I'm told aircraft are not supposed to be on ground. They're supposed to be in the air most of the time. So how do you do that? Unless you have these many aircraft to have your economy of scale, to reduce the unit cost of operation, then you can be competitive. So the coming in the country of the additional Dreamliner, I think it is very important. Otherwise, I was worried, how are we going to operate with one Dreamliner? Economically is not viable.
But we have two Airbus.
Yes, that is, to me, is for domestic and regional routes, not for the lucrative routes like in Europe, where India, you are guaranteed of full capacity. So I think this is very important, and actually we need more.
How many more? Or
well, I think they have their business plan. They know exactly their market size, because you must start with the market size. Otherwise, you may have aircraft which you don't utilize them at maximum capacity. So I think they know exactly where the market is. So I think, in my view, looking around our competitor in the region, that is Kenya Airways, Rwanda Air, I think Uganda is coming up. It's not our competitor.
You can't brush them off.
No, I'm not brushing them, but the way I see it, maybe engineer is
but they've gone through the same
yeah, but exactly. But I'm talking about our competitor. How many aircraft they have of that size, and I don't know exactly, but I think Kenya, they've got 2 Dreamliner or 4.
More, I think they have 6. I think.
Okay, so we can try to target where Kenya is, you know, and where Rwanda is. I think Rwanda, they have more number of Dreamliners than ourselves, so that's where we want to go. Maybe 5 Dreamliners. And then if we have that, then I'm telling you the unit costs are going to go down. And therefore we shall start seeing ourselves being competitive in the regional routes, domestic routes, and international routes. Unless you have critical mass of the airplane, otherwise you'll be operating not in critical. I mean,
you want to survive.
You want to survive, yeah. But surviving depends on your cost. The running costs you have, you can acquire. I know we purchase this by cash, but the operating cost is not by cash, it's from your operations. So that is where the problem is. Purchasing aircraft is not a big problem. The big problem is to run them efficiently and economically and commercially. So I think, to me, we need even more Dreamliners, but we must make sure that we get market for these Dreamliners, so that most of the time they should be in the air, not on the ground.
Okay. Engineer Matindi,
yes.
A number of issues have been raised here. Airplanes are not supposed to be on the ground, they're supposed to be in the air. Do you have the capacity to put them in the air? Do you have the adequate ground facilities to handle this? And if, according to Pamba, the desire is to have more tourists coming in, do you have that capacity to handle this?
I think we start with defining what the required capacity in terms of infrastructure. You say, you know, there are 2 infrastructures as far as the aircraft is concerned. The space-based infrastructure and the ground-based infrastructure. So the space-based infrastructure is the ability to handle that aircraft while it's on the air or is flying. And the ground-based is the ability to handle. We have a brand new airport, state-of-the-art, excellent, you can say.
Yes.
So ideally, when you are talking of do we have the ground infrastructure to handle it, yes. It's not only for Air Tanzania, we're handling more than, I think, 10 airlines which are using our facilities here in Tanzania. And this one now, you can't realize that it's up to Air Tanzania. The infrastructure is already provided. In the airspace, I think we are well off also. So as far as the infrastructure we have the capacity not only to handle 2 787, but more than us, more than that. We have currently Ethiopia Airways owning the same aircraft. Kenya Airways, we have other European airlines, may not be 787, but of the same capacity from other manufacturers. So I don't have any problem with that one. Inside Air Tanzania, yes. We are talking of the pilots. We are talking of the maintenance facilities. We are talking of the engineers and technicians. We are
supply service.
Yes, talking of the cabin crew. But other players in the value chain, so far so good, I can say like that.
So far so good. That's very encouraging. That's very encouraging. Barapamba, tourism is also as delicate like aviation industry. Do you think Air Tanzania and whatever existing airline we have here will be able to cope with the influx of tourism? And I understand from the government sources they want to increase from 1 million in 2015 to 2 million in 2020. Do you think there'll be the capacity in here to handle this?
The answer is yes and no. I'm saying yes because there has already been a political statement towards increasing the capacity or increasing the number of tourists into the country to 2 million by 2022. But this also goes along with so many other issues, underlying issues, in order to achieve that. One is the increasing the local capacity to handle the increased number of tourists, accommodation facilities, training facilities, human resource, capital, marketing and promotion, and other related services, ground handling services, ground transportation, so forth and so on.
Feeding
So
as well.
what is important basically is to come up with a plan. The ministry is responsible, has to meet with the stakeholders and draw up strategies and plans as to how to achieve the ambition, the aspirations of increased number of tourism. You can have an aspiration that, okay, we want to increase the number from 1.2 million to 2 million. But how do you achieve it? So far, I have not seen a plan that commensurate this aspiration. So my advice to the government is to bring together all the stakeholders who are involved in the tourism sector so that they can chart out a plan within the next 5 years how they are going to achieve these aspirations.
Okay. Abdul Kadir, I come back again to tap on your experience in the aviation industry. Do you see the difference between now and those good old days of the old Air Tanzania? And what does that indicate to you, that we are moving in the right direction?
Yeah, there is no comparison. There is no comparison. At any one time, didn't Air Tanzania think of making such a rapid progress like the one which has been made now. Even during the old days where our late President Nyerere started Air Tanzania, the progress was very, very slow. But before I go further, I think I would like to explain to you and to the audience,
And to the viewers, yes.
to the viewers, about this relationship between air transport and tourism. Who started, and why is it together? The fact is that these two today they are inseparable. But tourism, the record has organized tourism. The one we are saying, it started surprisingly in Russia in the 1850s. In Russia, that is where people organized themselves. They wanted to go, but then how do they move? They need transport.
Does it have to be on the aircraft?
Now, that is where it is. You see, what does a tourist want? A tourist is somebody who wants, first of all, adventure. He wants to go somewhere and see things that is not within his vicinity. A tourist wants to go and get an experience, a story to tell back home. And therefore they are somewhere where there are attractions. He has to go to somewhere where there is something attractive so that he can go there, experience it, and come back. And it doesn't have to be good, because some people are going into ventures. Like people are coming to Kilimanjaro to climb the mountain. You know, it is not easy. You are not going there to just to play. You have to practice, you have to use money, and at the end of the day, tire your body.
You may die as well.
And you may die. In fact, for
2 months ago, two people died, yes.
Today there is an aircraft always on standby to go and save a helicopter. Yes, it is. So that is the tourism part. You have people who want to go. Now there is the air transport. In fact, air transport is also another adventure. If you go to somebody who started flying, according to the record, the first man to fly is called Icarus. I think old people might remember the bus is Icarus. That is after the name of a person. He was a very good, brilliant architect and builder. He built a palace for one king in Greece, and then the king became so much jealous that this man can build somebody, another king, perhaps a better one. So he took Icarus into an island. He became a prisoner. Now Icarus needed his freedom. What he did, he took some things worked like a wing, used wax, and then he wanted to fly off the island so that he can disappear and regain his freedom. That is an adventure. That is how flying starts. That's the first man to fly. But unfortunately, the wax melted and then he fell into the ocean. So this is the interconnection between tourism and transportation. Air transport is by far the safest and the quickest means of transport which a human being has discovered up to today. I don't know in future, but today somebody, if he wants to move fast and safer, he has to use air transport. But air transport itself, in fact, when we call the air transport industry, the correct terminology should be aerospace. And when they use aerospace, there has to be defense. Aerospace and defense, that is the industry. Because these aeroplanes, when it comes to defense, they are very, very vital. I remember I was just a young man when Zimbabwe was getting independence. The country had to do some covert missions to transport soldiers, and at that time we didn't have any. That is when the Kenyan had broke the community, East African Airways, we didn't have an aeroplane. But the government, being what governments are, made, in fact that was the 707, first one, which later, of course, was abandoned, but it came. Yeah, that's it. It it took the soldiers. And now, even when we are talking of this aeroplane, this is a reserve for the army. We can transport our soldiers very quickly with this aeroplane. So, but all of this need money. And who has the money is a tourist. And that's what brings us together, the tour agent and aircraft operators, to get that man to pay the money so that you can be transported and he goes into the ventures.
That's very interesting. Engineer Matinde.
Yes, sir.
That sounds like heaven for us in Tanzania in the aviation industry. As ATCL Managing Director, in your view, do you think, I still want to go back to the question, you will sustain yourself? Air Tanzania can sustain itself? I repeat again, in this highly competitive, regulated industry, you have large airlines flying to Tanzania, you have some which are winding up. Now, we don't know what they're winding up, but you read the complaint that there is no passenger capacity for them to fly in. It's a bit expensive. So how will you do it? And how far have you so far gone in terms of utilizing the larger market, like Kamoto was saying, other than flying to Delhi and China?
Yeah, I think let's start with, I think there was one issue which was raised by Mr. Pamba, that how do we address the market, and then it was some very briefly or scholarly explained in the economic sense that what really there for you Air Tanzania to take. We are not testing Air Tanzania. We are putting Air Tanzania to operation. And we believe that we are on the right track. We were talking of having almost 40% by now of the market share. We have 73-75% of the market share. So beyond
local,
yes, for the domestic market, beyond what we expected. We have already started the regional and the international routes. You know, we fly now to Entebbe, Uganda, to Bujumbura, Burundi, to Lusaka,
no longer to Johannesburg,
to Harare, to Johannesburg. We fly to Johannesburg. We have
still flying?
We have stopped for some reasons, but we still have as one of our destination. We go to Mumbai, India, and they are all doing very well. Mumbai now, I think you have reached it to around 70% of the load factor. For the first time, we are carrying about 20 tons from India of cargo to Tanzania, and we believe to continue going up. We have only 4 months since we started flying to India, and when we see our projection, we're above the projection. 4 months you cannot break through to the new market, to the new destination. But we have established ourselves as one of the contenders for that Indian destination. And you can see now there's a lot of promotion in Kenya about coming to Tanzania through Kenya from India. In Rwanda, coming to Tanzania through Kigali. But for us, we say it's 5 hours of comfortable flight from Bombay to Dar es Salaam. And we are winning. So ideally, what I want to say is it goes according to our plans. If it goes according to our plan, there's nothing to despair. That's why we are buying more aircraft. That's why we are bringing in
two issues here to cut you short. Two issues to cut you short. In the old Air Tanzania, some of us were very, very unhappy with the way what I don't know what you call in the airline collaboration between Air Tanzania and the Ethiopian Airlines.
Yes.
The Ethiopian Airlines, generally known as the Jews of Africa, are very sharp.
Yes.
And once you join or you team with them, be careful, otherwise they will bring you down. Now, are you code sharing with any other airline? And if you're code sharing with the Ethiopian, are you careful?
You see, it's what you need from your partner. If you go and they become dependent, you don't know what is there for you, then really that partnership may not work. If you know what is there for me, then that partnership can work. What is there for me and what is there for my partner. As we are saying, it's not only Ethiopia, even myself. When I go into partnership, I want to benefit more. I'm working with Rwanda Air. We have a code sharing with Rwanda Air for Johannesburg. And I can see we are benefiting more than Rwanda Air, because our flight to Johannesburg was approximately 3 hours. Through Kigali, it was almost more than 12 hours sometimes. And this gave us an upper hand to shift some passengers who used to go through Kigali to now change to Air Tanzania, which is only 3 hours. So you see all those issues that they are code sharing or partnership, which can make you, much more beneficial than others.
Exactly.
We have other code sharing in India, for example. I'm talking of our partners in India. India is a big country. So ideally, if you go now as Air Tanzania and make your passengers end in Mumbai, it may not be beneficial to us. You may not attract more passengers. But if you have partnership which guaranteed them that, okay guys, you leave Dar es Salaam to your destination, say in New Delhi, without any problem, I'll take you to Mumbai, but you have assured connection to New Delhi. You see, so ideally we depend to each other, and we should not get walled with any Ethiopia or whoever.
Kamote is easy to come, but before you come, sorry, Kamote, before you come in, you talk. I did ask about the question about Air Tanzania not suspend. About Air Tanzania flying to South Africa. You said you have suspended. Have you suspended or have you stopped? And if you have suspended, when are you going to resume?
Yeah, it's a matter of time. You see, we have to make sure that we operate in a safe and assured environment. Yeah, there was some issues which involved our aircraft.
Yes.
Now we have to make sure that if now tomorrow I resume, then my aircraft will come back. It's very expensive when it's not coming. So ideally, I have to assess the situation. Luckily, I'm owned by the government, so I have a lot of sources to make decision when it's right for me now to resume my flight. So as I said, it's a matter of time. It will come when I go back to Johannesburg.
All right. Very quickly, Kamote, what was it?
No, I wanted to compliment on the code sharing. We have only 2 aircraft. Tourists are coming from all over the world. We cannot reach those places. With code sharing with the large companies, I think that's where we can say we can increase the number for tourists visiting Tanzania through Air Tanzania. So I think code sharing is very important for young aircraft, companies, but it needs a lot of care.
Yes.
Otherwise, you may not benefit. But mine was very important, was on the domestic flights.
Yes.
Everyone has got an expectation, even my place in Tanga.
Yeah.
People want to fly Air Tanzania. I don't know what are the plans to ensure that at least a number of Tanzanians can benefit, can fly, not benefit. Benefit, you can benefit it indirectly. The revenue collected from Air Tanzania can be used in development projects.
Yes.
But how can a person in Tanga benefit directly by flying Air Tanzania? By that I'm talking about what is going on in the improvement of airports in Tanzania to make sure that air Tanzania craft are reaching at least those places in Tanzania which need aircraft. I think every place, but of course there are some places where you cannot fly economical airplane. For instance, Morogoro. I don't know whether you can. You can do it, but I think it's a very short distance. But how is Air Tanzania plan to reach majority of Tanzania in terms of flying without their aircraft, because these are their aircraft?
All right, very quickly.
I think you can see even the structure, how we are structured our fleet. We have, as we said, short haul aircraft. You are talking of the famous Bombardier, the Q400 with the capacity of 76 passengers. We have one which will start flying soon, is undergoing maintenance, the Q300 with the capacity of 50 people. But see our domestic market, 13 destinations, amazing. I'll tell you that one. And I'm sure my senior brother, Abdul Kadi, will tell you the same. It's one of the few countries in Africa which has such an extensive air transport connections. I'm lived. I was born in aviation, so I can say this without any hesitation. That is, and we're still growing.
Yes.
We are still growing. Now we have 13, but we plan by end of next year we'll be having 15.
Not
and
14.
I'm sure Tanga is very high in our agenda. We are talking of the connection of Tanga, Pemba. You see, this is a route which is traditional, has been traditionally to Air Tanzania. As he said, and the government is working morning and evening to make sure that all these places are accessible. If you see the development of aerodrome and airports in Tanzania, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Excellent. It's amazing. It's amazing. Pamba.
I just wanted to chip in there, and with regard, I think what is important is the synergy. The synergy between Air Tanzania and Tanzania airport authorities. Because this is very important, because our country is huge. And the plans for Air Tanzania, the marketing and promotion plans, and their strategic plan should go hand in hand with the airports
Authority.
Airports Authority master plan. I'm encouraged to learn that, of course, there are plans to expand the Tanga airport. The tender has already been floated for this.
Let's cool down.
I think they are responsible for the infrastructure development of the airport. So I think the issue of synergy is very, very important between all the other organizations that are concerned with air transport.
But before you move, let me give you another perspective as we are talking of air transport. You know, we always talk of Air Tanzania, Precision Air, and other big operators. I have my friend here, he'll tell you, we have a very rich general aviation. And this is my vision, to see Air Tanzania does not really take the the general aviation market. I need it to survive. I need it to make sure every Tanzanian to the smallest airport is saved. And to achieve it, as he said, there must be signage, not only on the construction of airports, but the way also we operate the air transport market in Tanzania. We have a huge general aviation. I think he'll talk about it later on.
Well, you have the smaller aircrafts which are picking tourists from the main hubs to the remote areas where you don't get there, Coastal Air, Tanzania, and all these other places. Okay, I'm warned you have only 5 minutes to go. So in 5 minutes, let's try and wind up and we'll go. I start with you, Saleh Pamba. Very quickly. What are the challenges of improving the air transport and tourism industry in Tanzania vis-a-vis the development in the Air Tanzania?
I see two things which are very, very important. One is the marketing and promotion. The government has to put in a lot of money for tourism marketing and tourism promotion. By doing so, you are creating an international demand for air transport. And secondly, another important issue is the on-the-ground infrastructure development, hotels, training capacities, welcoming facilities, the
Check-in counter,
welcoming
cargo
facilities,
handling,
cargo handling, and all related
handling,
infrastructure
yes.
have to be in place in order to meet this increased demand.
as well as the control of airspace. By
Of course, they are
civil aviation.
doing very well, because I read in the newspapers last week that His Excellency President Magufuli inaugurated, I think, 3-4 new radars, and that is very, very important, because that is an important infrastructure for air traffic.
Thank you very much. Abdul Kadir.
Yes.
Where is the one challenge or opportunity?
No, first of all, I think for Air Tanzania, or to be specific, the air transport industry and everything to go on as we all wish, we have to observe one is safety. Safety is very, very important in aviation. You neglect safety, then you are done. And secondly, competition. Competition is healthy. You are talking about the smaller planes. You see, the big boys create the business for the young ones. For example, he can go to Kigoma and he gets a flat tire. He needs a quick engineer to go in. Then he takes an air charter.
Yes.
So this is what we are waiting for. We are just waiting for somebody.
But you're not sitting there waiting for the aircraft to go.
No. We wait. These become opportunities. Or he had somebody who was supposed to connect, and he can't go because the airplane has already gone. Yes. Then he gets an air charter. So it's an opportunity. Okay. Now the other one is training. Training is very, very important in aviation.
In all aspects.
In all aspects, and we have got a lot of problem because some of the unusual training are not catered for here. For example, we have things like first aid related to aeroplane, and then we have human factors, all human factors affecting pilots and things like that. And we have got dangerous goods, inspection of dangerous. You see people, but they are not aware the dangers that are associated with dangerous goods if they go into the aeroplane.
They might carry a gas cooker.
Exactly, yeah. Now, the other thing that we have to watch about Air Tanzania is about fuel prices. You know, fuel prices affect the costing to what the fare is going to pay.
Who controls you?
No, just to know. We have to be aware. You know, it's like fire. You know, it can burn you, but when you are aware, you avoid it.
Sorry, I'm time is running out.
There is one more very thing. Intermode connectivity. Intermode. You know, we have an aeroplane goes to the airport. But from there, the passenger doesn't want to stay at the airport. There have to be interconnectivity with the other modes. Excellent. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, I have 3.
No, 2 minutes.
No, I just underline. One is quality of service delivery. Air Tanzania should make sure that the services delivered by its workers are of the first class. 2, they should take competition as healthy. Because without competition, they are going to be into monopoly. And if we are, especially in the domestic market, and very important, Air Tanzania should operate commercially, the principle of the private sector. It should not wait until they observe the Government Procurement Act to procure some of the. If they do that, they are going to die.
Thank you. Last but not least, you have the last word very quickly.
Yeah,
the challenge
it's only one to give to my customers what they need. So as he said, the quality of service. The air transport, you know, the product is almost the same. So ideally, it all evolved on a differentiation on how you deliver your services. Yes. When you come back, it's only one. competing on prices. So ideally is for us to give what our customer wish to.
Customers come first. Well, my panelists, thank you very much. I've been warned the time is over, but I'm very glad that you were able to analyze the issues and to explain the importance of air transport and tourism industry in the country, and the fact that the two go hand in hand. Tourism and development of air transport or aviation industry, and all the relevant issues connected to that. I think that's all. I thank you very much. Viewers, this is all we have for you today until next Monday at the same time. That is at 9:30, and on Thursday at 15 hours for the repeat program. On behalf of my panel, Hussein Kamote, Engineer Matindi, Salih Bamba, Aviator Abdul Kadir, Mohammed, and TVC Television crew. Thank you, viewers, and goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.